Hey you, what's going on? Are you looking for vlogs about how to drive a car? If that is so, then this vlog is what you've been looking for and I'm gonna talk about it right now. Hi, my name is Jason. I am a teacher, a thinker, a biker, and a reaction vlogger as well. As we move along, kindly don't forget to click on that thumbs up icon, and if you are new here, kindly click on that big red subscribe radio button right there. Kindly click as well on that notification bell twice to get super updated with my latest uploads, and please give my channel a chance to grow by fully watching this vlog to the end. So, you wanted some information about how to drive a car. So what are we waiting for? Let's go ahead and find out. But first, let us give our amazing subscribers and supporters a big shout out. Yay! Thank you very much guys for all your support to this channel. I'm not gonna reach this far without your support. I really appreciate all of your help guys. Thanks to you and thanks to him. Having said that, let's jump into the vlog. Let's go. How to drive a car. Don't you know that learning how to drive is a lot easier than it looks? It really looks intimidating from the passenger seat, or in films, but once you get behind the wheel and gently put your foot on the pedal, the process becomes very intuitive, like it becomes so easy to grasp, that's a promise. So, learn to take things slow in the beginning, you'll be well on your way to mastering the basics. This vlog assumes you're gonna be driving a vehicle with an automatic transmission like an automatic car. If you're not driving an automatic, you'll need to study about the basics of driving stick shift or manual transmission instead, although the general process will always be similar. For the first part of 4. Getting comfortable with the car's controls. 1. First things first, adjust the seat so that your feet comfortably reach both pedals. You can adjust your seat forward and backward, as well as up and down. Some cars will have electronic controls, usually on the left side of the seat, while older cars will usually have a lever underneath the seat that lets you control the position of the seat. But you can usually tell the difference, that's for sure. 2. Familiarize yourself with the foot pedals. In an automatic car, the 2 foot pedals control acceleration and braking, respectively. The rightmost pedal, which is usually smaller than the other pedal, is the accelerator, and pressing down on it makes the car move. The harder you press down on it, the faster the car will move. The pedal to the left, which is usually larger than the accelerator, is the brake pedal, and pressing down on it slows the car down. Even if you feel more confident using your left foot, always use your right foot to reach both pedals. It will feel strange at first if you're left-footed, but getting used to it is very important because it's proper technique and ultimately much safer. Never ever use both feet at once to reach the pedals. Only use one foot, your right foot, to use each pedal, because this will surely make it impossible to accidentally press down on both pedals at the same time. 3. Check to adjust your car's mirrors so that you can see through them clearly and effectively. Your car should have 3 mirrors, 1 rear view mirror, which allows you to see directly the rear windshield behind you, and 2 outside mirrors which let you see to either side of the car and protect you from blind spots. Your rear view mirror should be positioned so that when you're in your normal driving position, you can see directly behind you and as much of the rear windshield as possible. An association of automotive engineers has one recommendation for how to position your outside mirrors in order to eliminate blind spots. It recommends positioning the mirrors further outward than normal, so that they just overlap with the viewing angle of the rear view mirror. 2. Although disorienting at first, this positioning actually allows the driver to best see cars in their blind spots, which they might otherwise only be able to spot by looking over their shoulder. 4. Know where the parking brake, it's also called a handbrake, an e-brake, or perhaps an emergency brake. Familiarize yourself where to find it and what it does to the car. The parking brake is a longer lever with a button on the very tip of it. When the parking brake is pulled up, it helps lock the car into place on the ground, ensuring that it doesn't move. When the brake is let down, it is disengaged and the car can freely move. Make sure that your parking brake is disengaged before you start driving. 5. Get a feel for the gear stick, also called shift lever, gear lever, shifter, or simply, the stick. The gear stick is usually positioned in between the 2 front seats of a car, and it controls the gearbox: park, neutral, drive, reverse. Sometimes in certain vehicles, the shift lever is on the right side of the steering wheel. If your gear stick is engaged in park and you turn your ignition on, the car won't move forward no matter how hard you press down on the accelerator. If your gear stick is in neutral, your car's natural momentum will continue to move it forward. If your gear stick is in reverse, your car will move backward instead of forward when you take your foot off the brake. If your gear stick is in drive, your car will move forwards when you take your foot off the brake. 6. Understand the basic dashboard controls, symbols. These gauges display to the driver how much fuel the engine has left, how fast the car is going, how hot the engine is, and how many RPM, revolutions per minute, the engine is clocking. The speedometer is probably the most important dashboard display in the car. It tells you how fast your car is traveling, in either miles per hour (mph) or kilometers per hour (kph). The RPM gauge tells you how hard your engine is working. Most RPM gauges will have red areas starting at 6,000 or 7,000 RPM. When the dial in the gauge travels into the red, learn to ease off the acceleration. The fuel gauge tells you how much fuel your car has left. It usually has a dial, like the hand of a clock, that travels between F and E, with E signaling empty and F signaling full. Some more modern cars have digital fuel gauges, where electronic bars are displayed like the battery symbol on a mobile phone, and gradually decrease in quantity depending on how much fuel is in the car. The temperature gauge in the car tells you whether your car's engine is overheating. It usually has a dial that travels between H and C, signaling hot and cold. Your dial should normally be in the center of the gauge. Second part of 4. For getting the basics down. 1. First things first, put on your seatbelt. In most places in the world, driving without wearing a seatbelt is illegal. 3. Seatbelts greatly reduce the possibility of serious injury or death if you happen to be involved in an accident. 2. Always start your car with your foot on the brake. When you turn it on, the car will move forward by itself if your foot isn't on the brake. With your foot on the brake in starting position, you're ready to start driving. 3. Turn on the engine and release the parking brake, if necessary. Put your keys in the ignition, which is usually to the right side of the steering wheel, and turn clockwise. Note that in some newer vehicles, provided the keys are actually inside the car, all you need to do is push the power or ignition button for the engine to start. Fancy. 4. Learn how to back your car out. If your car is parked in a car park or a driveway, chances are you're going to need to reverse your car out in order to begin driving. Although it may seem intimidating, there are only a couple of things for you to remember. Put your car in reverse and double check. If your car isn't in reverse, your car won't go backwards. Look over your shoulder and turn your head to get a good view of where you're going. Gently remove your foot from the brake pedal and do not put your foot on the accelerator. For your first couple of times backing out, don't worry about putting your foot on the accelerator. You can move your car simply by removing your foot from the brake. Your car will move slowly, but you won't risk accidentally running into something or someone. Remember that the steering wheel is reversed in reverse. When driving your car forward, if you turn the steering wheel to the right, your car will also turn to the right, and vice versa. This is because your wheels turn that way. When going in reverse, turning the steering wheel to the right will make your car turn to the left, while turning the steering wheel to the left will make your car turn to the right. Keep this in mind as you back your car out. Use your brake whenever you need to slow down. Press your foot gently but firmly on the brake pedal to slow the car down if necessary. 5. When you're ready to move your car forwards, come to a complete stop and put the car into drive. Put your foot on the brake pedal, shift your car into drive so that it can begin to move forward, and then take your foot off the brake pedal. Slowly press down on the acceleration pedal with your foot to get the car to move forwards. Accelerate until you've reached the speed limit, and then take your foot off the accelerator, hovering it over the brake pedal in case you need to slow down. 6. Hold both hands on the steering wheel at the 9 and 3 o'clock position. Imagine that the steering wheel is a clock. Place your left hand where the number 9 would be on a clock, and your right hand where the number 3 would be. 4. Especially for beginners, do not try to hold the steering wheel with only one hand, because you are more likely to lose control of the car, which could cause an accident. 7. Use your blinkers, also called indicators or turn signals. Your blinkers are flashing orange or red lights. Some cars have red lights as blinkers on either side of the rear of the car, next to the brake lights. They are really important when driving as they let other cars know that you're wanting to switch lanes or turn in a specific direction. The blinker switch is located on the left side of the steering wheel. Flick it up to indicate you want to turn right for turning or switching lanes to the right, or flick it down to indicate you want to turn left for turning or switching lanes to the left. 8. Learn how to turn the car using the hand-over-hand method. Turning is quite easy once you get used to it. Like most things when driving, it's very intuitive. If you only need to turn the car slightly, turn the steering wheel in the direction you want to travel, but try keeping your hands at the 9 and 3 position. If you're making a harder turn, use the hand-over-hand method. Say you're turning right. Turn the steering wheel clockwise, leading with the right hand. When your right hand gets to the 4 or 5 position, release it and cross it over your left hand. Re-grip the wheel and continue turning. To straighten out the car after a turn, simply loosen your grip in both hands and the steering wheel will automatically begin correcting itself. Apply more pressure to slow down the correction, apply less pressure to speed it up. Your hands should stay stationary as the steering wheel moves back to its original spot. 9. Learn how to switch lanes. At some point when driving, you'll need to switch from one lane to another, sometimes quickly. Doing so is easy, but you have to remember to indicate to let other drivers know that you're planning on switching lanes. Here are some things to keep in mind whilst switching lanes. Indicate with your blinkers for at least 2 seconds before beginning to switch lanes. This lets other drivers know what you are planning to do. Quickly scan your mirrors and look over your shoulder to check for any cars in your blind spots. Don't just rely on your mirrors to tell you where other cars are, use your eyes to quickly look for yourself before actually switching lanes. Slowly move the car into the other lane. Turn your hands on the steering wheel ever so slightly in order to change lanes. It only takes a very slight movement of the wheel, as most modern cars are fitted with power steering. It should take anywhere from 1 to 3 seconds for you to change lanes. Any less and you're doing it too quickly, any more and you're doing it too slowly. 10. Stay a healthy distance behind other cars, like 1 car apart, and avoid tailgating. How far you should stay behind the car in front of you depends on how fast you are traveling. You want to give yourself like 2 to 5 seconds to react, depending on your comfort level. If the car in front of you were to abruptly come to a halt, at your current speed, would you have enough time to both react and calmly slow your car down without colliding into the car in front of you? To judge this, watch as the car in front of you passes a fixed object on the road, like a billboard. As soon as the car passes that object, begin counting. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000. How many seconds does it take for your car to pass the same object on the road? Third part of 4. Putting it all together. 1. First things first, drive defensively. Driving defensively is a very important concept that too many drivers either take for granted or don't understand at all. Driving defensively will help save you money, ensure a pleasurable driving experience, and, most important, help you stay safe and alive. Driving defensively is an umbrella term for several different driving concepts. Don't assume that other road users will obey the rules, or pay attention, or be cautious. Rules of the road are enforced to make sure that everyone is safe. Often those rules are broken by selfish or clueless drivers. Don't assume that drivers will use their blinkers before they turn, for example. Don't assume that drivers will slow down for you to merge. Don't assume that drivers won't drive past red lights. If you see a potentially dangerous situation, avoid it before it happens. Don't linger immediately to the right of a big semi-truck, for example. Don't try to pass a drunk driver who's swerving in and out of lanes. Listen, even if you know that you are driving correctly and the other driver is wrong, always give way to avoid collision and distractions on your travel. Use all your senses to be aware, at all times, of what's happening on the road. Drivers often learn to tune out the rest of the world and get in the zone, simply because they've done the same thing hundreds, if not thousands, of times. Don't get too complacent behind the wheel. Use sight to monitor other cars' speeds and their habits. Use hearing to listen for car horns and the sounds of screeching. Use smell to be aware of burnt rubber or other caustic aromas that may indicate an accident. 2. Stay in the right lanes for slower speeds and the left lanes for faster speeds. On highways, and to a lesser extent on streets, the leftmost lanes are usually reserved for faster traffic, while the rightmost lanes are reserved for slower traffic. It's rude and dangerous to tailgate someone going slower than you in the right lane. At the same time, it's selfish to hog the left lanes when you're going considerably slower than other traffic. Get in a lane that's going roughly your speed and stay there until you need to turn or leave the road. 3. Whenever possible, pass cars on the left side instead of the right side. Because the general speed of traffic increases going right to left, it's important to pass on the left. You're speeding your car up and going faster than the car ahead of you, so you want to pass using a lane that's meant for faster cars. Follow this general rule of thumb even if it's not a law where you drive. Remember, drive right, pass left. You always remember that. Try to never pass a truck on the right. Trucks and semis are far larger than normal cars, meaning that their blind spots are far bigger. Trucks often stay in the rightmost lanes and switch lanes to the right, rarely switching lanes to the left. Passing trucks on the left, therefore, means you're driving your car out of their territory, lowering your risk. 4. Abide by the speed limits. Speed limits are there for a reason. They're not there to make driving less fun, they're there to make the road a safer place for all. Make sure that at most, you're only traveling 5 miles per hour, 8 kilometers per hour faster than the speed limit. At least in America, police officers will rarely write a ticket for speeding if you're only traveling 5 miles per hour, 8 kilometers per hour above the speed limit. 5. Be extremely careful in abnormal driving conditions. When the weather acts up, tone it down a notch and drive even more defensively than normal. When it rains, for example, the water interacts with the oil on driving surfaces, making it very slick and slippery. In these conditions, it's hard for your tires to get good traction. 8. In heavy rain, when small pools of water have accumulated on asphalt, you're especially at risk of hydroplaning. Winter creates more difficult driving situations, with colder temperatures as well as icy and snowy surfaces. Learn how to drive your car during the winter. 6. Be courteous on the road. Being courteous simply means acknowledging that there are other people using the road, each with his or her own agenda, and many of whom don't want to be stuck in their car. Make their life on the road a little easier if it's easy for you. The thought is that they'll pay it forward at some point, and you may be the beneficiary of their largesse. Use your horn to alert other drivers, not to chide them. The horn is a powerful device. Use your horn when someone merges into your lane without seeing you, or when a light has turned green but they're still sitting idle. Don't use your horn because you're stuck in a traffic jam to express your frustration. Use a wave to thank someone. When someone lets you into their lane, wave your hand to thank them. It doesn't take much effort, and it's a nice acknowledgement of thanks for keeping you in mind. Don't disobey the rules of the road just in order to be courteous. This is important. If you stop at a 4-way stop and you get there first, you're the one who gets to go first. Don't stop and let the person who got there after you go. It holds up efficiency and often creates confusion. 7. Have fun. Driving can be dangerous, and there sure are a lot of rules that you need to remember, but it's important to have fun while you're behind the wheel. Even while staying responsible, driving can be incredibly exhilarating. Just remember that the road doesn't belong to you alone and you should be fine. For the last part, mastering advanced driving techniques. 1. First things first, learn how to parallel park. Parallel parking is when you have to back your car into a tight parking spot, usually a very complex maneuver. There are a couple of tried and true tricks to parallel parking, which you can learn here. A very important part of urban driving. 2. Learn how to merge in heavy traffic. Merging onto a highway can be a difficult thing to do, especially if the traffic is denser than expected. The important thing to do here is to accelerate enough and judge whether you're going fast enough to fit safely between two cars. 3. Use a roundabout. They may not be popular in America, but if you've ever driven outside the US, you'll know that they can be quite tricky. Often used instead of stop signs, roundabouts are efficient but need to be understood before conquered. 4. Learn how to drive uphill. Driving uphill can be a challenge, particularly if you're driving a manual car. Master the art of downshifting when going up a steep hill. 5. Save gas. With the rising cost of fuel, driving smart means more than just avoiding accidents. Those drivers who can save fuel while they drive ultimately have more money to spend on car accessories. Here are some frequently asked questions that I'd like to share with you. How can I be safe on the road? Our best answer is to drive defensively, like take it slow, and keep your eyes on the road. Also, comply with speed limits. They're there for a reason. It's dangerous to drive over the posted limit. Another frequently asked question, is driving a car scary? Our best answer is, it can be if you've never done it before. It really isn't too nerve-wracking once you've worked with an instructor and figured the basics out. It's okay to be nervous. Just take it slow. Here's another frequently asked question. How can I learn to drive fast? Our answer is like, if you're referring to how long it takes, I wouldn't recommend trying to speed this process up. You have to complete some driving classes, practice with an instructor, and get familiar with how the vehicle works. Driving is dangerous if you don't know what you're doing, so don't rush your education here. It naturally goes with experience. Another frequently asked question is, how hard must I press on the brake to stop the car? Best answer is, you need to press down hard but as gradual as possible so you don't stop too suddenly. Make sure that the person behind you has enough time to realize you're stopping, or they might rear-end you. Another frequently asked question is, how do I overcome my fear of driving? Best answer is, have someone drive you to a safe open area free of pedestrians and other cars. Hop in the car and just drive. You'll get a feel of the wheel after you practice a bit in an open space. Another frequently asked question is like, is it more difficult to drive a manual transmission or automatic transmission? Best answer is, manual transmission requires the use of 3 pedals and timing for the clutch to engage gears. Therefore, a manual transmission is more complex and more difficult to drive than a car with an automatic transmission. Here is another frequently asked question. How do I drive downhill? Our best answer is, you have to release the acceleration pedal and concentrate more on the brake pedal to help regulate your speed. Frequently asked question is, how do I drive in traffic? Best answer is, keep an eye on your speed. If traffic is very slow to a point where you must stop the car, make sure you have a good amount of space in front of your car. Here's a tip: when slowing down and coming to a stop, look at the car in front for yours back tire and stop when you see the bottom of their tires meet your car's hood. Another frequently asked question is, what can I do if I'm driving down a hill and my brakes fail? Our best answer is, concentrate on steering and pump the brakes. If that fails, use your hand brake, emergency brake. Another FAQ, how many pedals are in an automatic car? Our answer is, there are 2 pedals, the gas pedal which moves the car, and the brake that slows or stops the car. Here are some tips for you. Wear your seat belt. This is the easiest way to be safe in a car, and it's illegal in many countries not to wear one. Listen, when you park your car and before you exit the vehicle, be sure to turn off the lights, engage the handbrake, lock the doors, and remember where you parked. Service your car within the mileage or age ranges recommended by your manufacturer or dealer. Be sure to slow down before making turns. Put away all distracting items like cell phones, earphones, snacks, flirting, etc. before you even turn the engine on. When driving bigger cars, make sure you are clear of the road ahead before overtaking. Always follow safe driving practices. Don't drive recklessly fast, accelerate suddenly, or brake unexpectedly. And don't weave in between vehicles on the highway. It is very dangerous and can cause highly damaging collisions. Don't wear bulky shoes with big soles, they might get in the way when pressing the brakes during an emergency. Stay in your own comfort zone. If it has been snowing and the roads are covered in ice, drive as slow as you need to in the highest possible gear like if driving a manual, to improve control of the vehicle, and ignore other motorists who get impatient and start tooting their horns. Keep enough room between your car and the vehicle in front so there is enough room to come to a full stop should the car in front decide to stop suddenly. Tailgating is dangerous. Maintain your car regularly. Check the oil level, wheel alignment, headlights, brake fluid, and tire pressure. If something looks damaged, worn, or needs fixing, then get it sorted before it leads to a more serious problem. When you're starting out, driving a car can be scary at times, but with practice and other techniques, you can overcome a fear of driving. Practice good habits like turning your head to check your blind spot instead of bad ones like driving with one hand on the steering wheel or crossing your hands when steering. Hire a certified and experienced driving instructor if you're nervous and/or inexperienced. Study the driving guide or laws from your country. If you are just learning to drive like a super beginner, or if you don't really feel confident driving by yourself because you don't have experience yet, it might be a good technique to borrow a car instead of using your brand new car for practice. Then get a parent like a mother-in-law or an older friend who can accompany you when you're driving. Stay safe and don't use your mobile phone whilst driving. In some countries, this is illegal and you can even lose your license, as well as be fined a lot of money. Harsh penalties apply in some countries. Don't drive faster than what you're comfortable with. If you are making an emergency stop in a car equipped with ABS-like anti-lock braking system, press the brake as hard as you can. ABS makes a car's brake pump more rapidly than your foot can. This stops the car while still offering you control over the direction. Do not pump the brake nor loosen the force. While ABS is active, you may feel vibrations through the brake pedal. This is normal. Just continue pressing the brake until your car stops. If you are like a new driver, always ride with an experienced driver until you are confident enough to drive independently. For some warnings, always indicate before turning and use dipped headlights when there is an approaching vehicle or when there is a vehicle ahead of you. Always wear your seat belt and ensure any other passengers do so. While changing lanes, be observant. Check all mirrors, put on your indicator and swiftly change. This vlog is for US pattern driving. Road rules are different in every country. Avoid the temptation to use your mobile phone. A few seconds distraction can cause a very serious accident resulting to death, so the best way to do it is to turn off your cell phone until you get to your destination. Better yet, park your car in a safe location when there is a need to answer a phone call. Avoid parking illegally. Your car may be towed, or you may be cited and have to pay a fine. This is by no means a replacement to going to driver's ed. Be aware of any limitations of provisional licenses. For example, in the UK, you cannot drive on a motorway without a full license. Make sure you're in the correct lane when driving. Always enforce that people who are passengers in your car must wear seatbelts. If they refuse, don't drive them. You're better off to create an awkward situation than to be held liable for a bodily injury they sustain if you're in an accident. This article can only guide you on your way to driving, so don't depend on it as your only source. Street racing is dangerous and illegal in most countries. If you wish to race your car, then taking your car to a track day would be the safest thing to do. These are usually well supervised. In some cities, shifting late just before red lining not only makes you sound like a maniac, it can also be considered reckless driving, which is illegal and can get you a nasty ticket fine. Make sure you practice uphill starts when learning to drive a manual car. Because starting a manual from a stop requires letting off the brakes and engaging the clutch, essentially placing the car in neutral. The car will roll backward until first gear is engaged. To stop this from happening, apply the handbrake, then release it as you release the clutch and the car begins to move forward. Otherwise, you risk rolling into the car behind you. Practice this technique on a sloped driveway or car park where it's safer to make mistakes. Keep on the slow lane, left or right for left or right-handed driving countries respectively, unless you overtake. After overtaking, return to the slow lane. In Israel, you're required to carry fluorescent vests in the car and wear them when you are outside the car when making repairs or refueling, etc. If you get stopped in Israel and your car does not carry a fluorescent vest, you will be fined. In France, I was told that you must wear one when driving at night, and also if you need to repair a puncture bulb on a motorway. Some vehicles come with built-in safety features like airbags and whatnot. Do not rely on safety and comfort features to work while driving. This technology can easily malfunction, like the brakes may apply unexpectedly or the car does not brake at all, and is not a replacement for attentive driving. Always follow the rules of the road for your state or country. Make sure you know all the rules before starting to drive, or else you or your car might be badly damaged. Drivers need to be licensed. Driving without a license or with a suspended one can get you arrested and will ruin your record. Never drink and drive. That's the worst thing you could possibly do whilst driving. You could kill yourself or someone else. It is also illegal to drive with more than a certain amount of alcohol in your body. Like in the UK, you must not drive with a breath alcohol level of more than 35 micrograms per 100 milliliters like 3.4 fluid ounces, or a blood alcohol level of more than 80 milligrams per 100 milliliters like 3.4 fluid ounces. This is roughly the equivalent to 2 cans of strong lager. If you are going to drink this much alcohol, arrange another means of transport. Never shift into low gears at high speeds like first gear at 50 miles per hour, 80 kilometers per hour. This will surely damage or destroy your car's engine and transmission. Keep yourself safe at all times. And hey, if you feel that you're into this vlog today, regardless of the overall quality, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate you taking time to watch my vlog about how to drive a car. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. Just to recap, we just did a simple vlog on how to drive a car like a pro. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I did when this was crafted. Wow. Guys, if you like my vlog today, please give my channel a chance to grow by fully watching this vlog to the end. Kindly don't forget to click on that thumbs up icon, and if you are new here, kindly click on that big red subscribe radio button right there. Kindly click as well on that notification bell twice to get super updated with my latest uploads. And hey, if you have any suggestion or reaction on my vlog, please do share it with us. You may also share your thoughts as well as your comments in the comments section below so I can read them and send you a reply. You can also post your reactions on Twitter with the